everybody, it's Renee, and we are going to be working on a new junk journal, and this is going to be a few part series. So let's get cracking and have a look. So hey, I am making this book, and as you can see, I'm using a chicken burger box as the actual album itself. We will be covering this and making it into a full out album, or an album. I keep saying album, I mean journal. So this will be a journal, but I just wanted to show you that this is what I'm starting off with, and it is a chicken burger box. So we have that. This is going to be, from what I'm gathering, probably 4 signatures. These are not going to be all the sheets that are going to stay in here. We're going to move them around and whatnot. I found all my sheets, all my pages, and I've done some things to them, but I still have to stitch them and do a bunch of other things. I've done some stamping. There's lots more still to put on these, but I'm going to try and do some of the harder things initially before I actually attach the book in. So I will be doing things like the stitching. I'm going to be doing some mixed media, that kind of thing. This one, because sometimes I have a theme for my journals, this one is more of, I don't want to say a hodgepodge, but kind of like that. I want it just to be things that make me happy, so there's not really necessarily a theme. This one is more so going to be just different things that I like. There's not really necessarily a theme to it, like I have been doing. So this is kind of what I've got so far. There's lots of digitals, there's lots of scrapbooking paper, bits and pieces. So this is a great one where I'm going to be using bits and pieces and leftovers, kind of doing collage to some degree. There's a lot of like originals from me, so this is one of them. So there's a bunch of different things, deli paper, lots of vintage. Yeah, so there's going to be kind of a hodgepodge, I guess, essentially, of things that are going to be in this. So we are going to decorate this, alter it, do the things we can't do initially once it's actually in the journal. So the biggest one is, I'd like to say some of the mixed media and some of the stitching. This one I just put a whole bunch of vintage, I kind of decoupaged, if you will, some different patterns onto a piece of paper. This is going to be stitched, and as many of these will be, but I just wanted to show you kind of a rough idea of what I'm going to be doing in this one. So little things, like I said, kind of a making me happy theme. For example, this one has a receipt from a restaurant I kind of think is cool and I like, and some vintage candies and things that you don't see every day. So I put that in here. I'm going to be doing some of that kind of stuff, different receipts, different little bits and pieces. Yeah, lots of vintage in here because I am a lover of vintage, most things vintage. So I'll be putting a lot of vintage type things in here. But this will just give you an idea. I want lots of room for actually journaling, because as you know, if I'm putting things in here that I like, I'm probably keeping this one. So, and then our last signature is this one. This is also another decoupage. This is with a napkin. So this is another vintage, or not vintage, original from me. This is actually Alcatraz. The other one was Alcatraz as well. But this is Alcatraz, but that's a picture I took. So there's a lot of different bits and pieces, and I've already started to do some mixed media on these. And these pages aren't all going to stick in this order. They will be moved around to some degree once I start actually putting things together. So this is kind of just a rough idea of what I'm looking at for my pages. And then we'll be adding some of the filler and some of that kind of thing. So this is a lot of what I'm looking at. I had started another one and I can't remember if I showed you guys or not, but this is it. And I am going to be working on this one as well. This will be another different one I work on. I think this is backwards. So this is just kind of a rough idea, and this one is definitely going to be a lot of mixed media, but I really enjoyed this. It's just, again, because this is a stencil with some gesso. This one's been put together, and I just use staples to put this one together. But bits and pieces of papers and that kind of thing, and I'm doing a lot of mixed media in here, some stitching, some raw edge, bits and pieces. So I just really kind of like this too, and I don't like things that are always so uniform and so perfect, I guess, if you will. I like a little bit of the rawness and the rough edge to it. So I like doing that kind of style as well, so I will be doing that. So anyways, let's get back to here. I am now going to pull out my sewing machine, and I don't have the greatest of sewing machines, but it's free, so can't complain about that. So I'm going to actually do some of my stitches on here. Right now I have white thread in there, but I might change that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do some of these in white and I'll change the thread up. We will see, because most of my pages, as you can see, are lighter pages, so you're not going to see a lot of white thread. So that is our next step, and that is what we're going to work on now. So we've stitched on some of our sheets, and as I said, I did change it up to black threads. So now I've grabbed my paintbrushes and a bunch of my distress crayons. So I have a whole bunch here, and I am going to put some color on some of our pages. I have not gessoed these beforehand, so there's a chance that some of them could leak through, but I am willing to take that chance because I am planning on putting something for the most part on the other side anyway. So we'll find some sheets that we can do that on. Trying to find, I had some ideas of which sheets I kind of wanted to try that on. So I'm just having a look, because some are definitely more fragile and some are thicker, and some I had planned for that. Just gotta find where they are. Here is a thicker one. Maybe I'll try that here. Like I said, we are going to rearrange all those pages anyways. So this is on the back side of one of the digitals. And I had done a little bit of some coffee stains and coffee dyeing and whatnot on here. But I am going to take this one. This is Bubbling Cauldron. These are all Tim Holtz Distress Crayons. And I am going to move this mat I'm going to use a little bit of my glass mat, which I always have underneath. And I'm going to put my color on my glass mat. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water and pick up some of the pigment. These are all DINA WAKLEY brushes. Don't want to have too wet. This is a little bit on the wet side, because you want to pick up that pigment. I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay. And really, I'm just going to add a little bit of color. There's not a whole lot. The other thing you could do is you could add a little bit of this too, but you want to be careful because it is going to leave a little bit of a line if you push very hard, because that's all that pigment coming through. So see, you're going to leave that line, and I didn't even push hard. So that line comes through. So that's why you usually want to do it somewhere else. So now I'm going to add some more color, and this one is Merry Mint. Same thing, doing that on our glass mat. And same kind of idea. I'm going to use my more fine tip brush for this one. Try and pick up that pigment again. You don't want to have too much water, but I have a little bit. And I'm not trying to do any kind of funky design or nothing like that. I'm just adding some color to our page, because I will probably stamp over this down the road once we start working on the interior of our book, our journal. So I'm just adding some colors because we are going to be doing that once we start adding. Okay, so this one here is the Shiny Bauble. These are all the colors that Tim doesn't always have. These were either Christmas or his Halloween colors. Okay, so I didn't get my brush wet again. I'm just adding a little bit of that water from previous colors. Hopefully you can see this. If you can't, that's why I'm describing it. Okay. Have that color, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of this too. I don't want this to be too wet, so I'm also going to add some color on this side. Like I said, I'm just letting it dry because I have a stamp in mind, and I'm going to be stamping over top of this. And, you know, right now it doesn't look like anything spectacular. So I'm going to get that one a little bit cleaned off. And now on this one, I'm going to add some Wicked Elixir. Again, another Halloween color. And get a little bit of water onto that pigment, and we're just going to add a little bit of that to this. Also, when I was showing you some of my pages prior, you may have noticed that there was one sheet that had two stamped on images of flowers. So I might add some of that, the pigment and that color to those as well. There we go. And again, nothing fancy, but there's just going to go a stamp over top of here. And then I'm going to add bits and pieces and ephemera and stuff. So what doesn't look like anything major now will be something nice down the road. So we're going to go through these, and I'm going to find that stamped image. We also have this. So these are Tim Holtz tissue collage sheets, and we're going to add some color to some of these. So this, I'm going to put a little bit of this color on. This one is a little bit more solid, and this is the shaded lilac, or as sometimes my family says, I've heard them say shaded lilac. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of water on that pigment and soak that up. And I'm going to, normally I would do this yellow or something because it looks like a daisy, but I'm going to switch it up. Like a typical daisy color, we'll switch it to some purple. There we go. So we're gonna just color that in. You could use a water brush too. Water brushes work great. I just happen to pull these out because I haven't used them for a little bit. And now we're going to pull out the mowed lawn and use a little bit of that same idea, putting that on our glass mat. And we're just going to use this over top of the leaves. It just adds a little bit of color. It's nothing too major. You could always use watercolors, but I'm just going to try with these. I also have DINA WAKLEY's sticks, so you could always use those. I have a few other very similar ideas that you could use. So you could use any of those on here. Watercolor pencils. All right. And keeping with the color tone roughly, I'm trying to find, don't want anything too bright or too dark. This would be perfect. Is this cracked pistachio? Yes. So we're going to grab the cracked pistachio. And this one. There we go. That's a little better. Get some pigment on there, and we are going to add a little bit of water to that, and I'm just going to go over these words here. Just wanted a little bit of color because, as I said, we will be adding things to this as well, so we don't want too much. We don't want anything too that's going to stand out too much, I guess, because I don't want the focal point just to be this, but I just want to add some color to liven it up a little bit. Okay. It's very faint, very faint. And as I did a medium over here, I did a gel matte medium over top to seal it in. It might sit on top. Hopefully it'll suck it in a little bit, but it's probably sealed a little bit, so we will see. It should dry. So there's a little bit of color, not a lot, but that's kind of what I was looking for. So we have that. And now I'm going to pull this one, and this is what I was talking about before. So we'll let that dry. Here's that stamped image. So we have this one here of these flowers, and I'm going to switch out our colors because these are all my greens and blues and purples. So we have that one. For this one, this is our pinks, yellows, and oranges. So we're going to do, I'd like a little bit of color to this one. So I pulled out, oh, this one's kind of nice too. We have a few. We have tart cranberry, festive berries, and picked raspberry. So I'm going to use these ones. Same idea, I'm just going to put a little bit on the side. Whoops. That guy flew right off. This is picked raspberry. I've used that numerous times. I love that color. And then this one, I've used this lots too. And this is the festive berries. So we're going to add that there. You could give it a squirt of water. You could use, like I said, your water pencils, your water brush. Any of those work great. Okay, I'm just going to use this lightly because my water brush isn't right here, and neither is my squirt bottle. So we got that pigment on there, and then I'm just going to come through here and just add a little bit of color. And I'm not trying to completely stay in the lines because I don't want that to be perfect. I know for those of you who are stay in the lines kind of people, I'm sorry. Hopefully I'm not driving you crazy with this, but this is so not the kind of look I'm going for. I want it to be very kind of abstract, if you will. So I'm going to add a little bit up in here, and then we will leave that like that. Then we'll go on to our other flower. In this one, I'm going to blend, I think, a little bit of both of these. So the cranberry and the picked raspberry. Kind of give it a little bit more of an intense color maybe, hopefully. Okay, there we go. It's very light, but that's okay. And again, not staying in the lines. If I wanted it to stay in the lines, I probably would have used my water brush, which is a lot more fine tipped. Because like I said, we are going to be adding other elements to this page. It's not just going to be the flowers that you see. There's going to be lots of other things. Okay, so there's that. And then the inside, I want to make those orangish. Sorry, I got my paintbrush in my mouth. So we have carved pumpkin that I've pulled. We also have spiced marmalade. There's also jack-o'-lantern. This is a good one. A little bit deeper orange. Oh, some great orange colors. Sorry, take that out of my mouth. Okay, so now we have this. And I'm starting first with the jack-o'-lantern, I believe it is. Yep, jack-o'-lantern. And I'm going to do that on our first flower. Oh, I like that. That's very pretty. And then our next one was this one, the carved pumpkin. Put that in here. You gotta remember too, depending on how much water you add, and then our spiced marmalade. And then I'm going to add just a shade of yellow. And with this one, we're doing holly branch. And that was, again, a Christmas color. So I don't want anything too terribly bright, like a bright yellow. So this is more of, I don't want to say a Dijon type of color, but kind of, I guess. Okay, there we go. A little bit of yellow in there. And voila. So we're going to leave that. I'm not going to do like green on the stems right now. I'm just going to leave that. And we're going to let that dry. So there's a little bit of mixed media that we've added with some of these. And we can add more as well as we go. I also did, I think, another sheet of collage, tissue collage. Just gotta find it. There's a bunch of different things we've done and I plan to do. It's just so much fun. I love like just that feeling of freedom and anything goes, and just create and, you know, let your freedom take you to wherever you want to create. It's just so liberating not to have to feel that sense of everything's got to be perfect and uniform, and just let yourself go and just create. Grab all the little pieces and all the little extras that you have that you've been saving and put them on a piece of paper. Use up what you've got. You know, you don't have to go and buy all the new stuff and all the things. Use what you've got and just let yourself create. It's just so nice. This one here, I did this on deli paper. I really like this, but I was always thinking while I was creating this that I really want to add some color to her dress. It's just so pretty. This shade of pink, this Winterberry, again, another Tim Holtz Christmas color that came out. I just really thought that would be gorgeous, like stunningly gorgeous. So on this one, I'm going to add that. And I think I'm going to use a water brush for this one. I've got my water brush. I'll just get it primed a little bit. I'm actually just going to dip in a little bit of water at first. Okay, so get it into that pigment. As you can see, we've got a load of pigment on there. I'm just going to start from the sides and start pulling it inwards. What color would you have chosen for her dress? I just thought it was very pretty and just delicate, this color. I love with the Tim Holtz paper dolls, I love coloring them in. It's so fun. And adding just different colors to it. Okay. Kind of working with those shadows and the lighting. It's fun. Kind of brings back being a little kid and coloring again. It's fun. Sometimes I do that when I'm watching TV. Okay, we got a little hair there. Okay. Just keep bringing the color in. Okay, so I think we've got that done. So I'm just going to let that dry. And up here we have another piece of tissue collage. So I'm going to take up some of this green that we had from prior. We're doing our other creations and use our water brush. Take up that pigment, and it's on my brush now. And I'm just going to go through, and this will show you the difference between using a water brush and using a paintbrush. There's a lot more because this is so close to your hand, I guess, and it's more fine tipped. I mean, there's all different water brushes, but you can really get in there, especially if you're somebody who likes to stay in the lines for sure. I would recommend using a water brush myself. I find it's a lot easier to control than a lot of the paint brushes. There's definitely a lot more fine tipped paintbrushes, don't get me wrong, but for me personally, when I really want to get in there, I use a water brush. But that's just me. I mean, paintbrushes have been around for years, and look at all the creations that have been made with paintbrushes. So any artist is going to probably disagree with me, I'm guessing, but that's just what I'm saying I like to do. So, got some green in here. And just add this little bit on this little teeny weeny bit left over. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. And then here where it says, "Oh my happy heart," I think I'm just going to outline that a little bit. So try and get rid of some of the green pigment on here. Okay, I am going to do a little bit of that. We have some orange left. Just a little bit up here. Just kind of essentially kind of outlining it. There we go. All right, so there's that. We're just gonna let that dry and see how that goes. And then we'll move on to our next step. So now we are moving on to making some ephemera. And I have a whole bunch of these different boxes of different things that we can use. I have probably 9 of these. So those are some ideas. Other ideas are these sheets that I sell through Scrap Trinkets, and I do sell these in my Etsy shop and in my Facebook. Look up Scrap Trinkets. So we are going to make some things with these. And one of the things I'm going to make is, and I'm actually just going to trim it up like so. I'm not going to do this perfect because I don't want it to be perfect using our trimmer. We are going to fold this and then sew it. So, and I don't, again, want it to be perfect. We'll do it from this way. You've probably seen a bunch of different things like this, where they've kind of bunched them and gathered them and then stitched it and put it on their creations. These are so easy to make that you really don't have to buy them. And some people sell them in their Etsy shops and things like that, and you could easily buy them. And I'm not gonna lie, I probably will make some myself and sell them in my Etsy shop, but they're also fairly easy to make. If you have a sewing machine, go for it. So you can do any kind of width you want, any kind of size. So this gives you an idea, and then just do a whole bunch of stitches, and then we're going to use some of our scrap trinkets, rusted safety pins, and you can put those through there, or wig pins, all kinds of different things. Add a little bit of pieces of fabric. So these are going to be some of the types of pieces that we're adding to our journal. So there's that idea. So we're going to do that. Another thing we're going to do, you may have seen this in here. This is just leftover from our packaging. So this was a tag set, but I kept the packaging because I'm like, look at that image. That image is so cool. We could easily make something with this, whether we cut this off or put something over top of it, which is very easy to do, and we can make this into a flip. We can use this side, but then cover this up. So there's many ways to go about doing this, and one thing I thought, again, we could use some of this, and then we can ink it up and do a bunch of different things. So let's try this. I am actually going to use my glue stick on this, I think. This is one easy way of just using up things you're probably going to throw into the recycle that you probably don't really want to. If you're like me, I'm a little bit of a recycler. Well, I'm a lot of a recycler actually. And I mean, for us that do junk journals, this kind of is what junk journaling is all about, isn't it? So I'm using up, I like to use the purple glue sticks so I can see exactly where my adhesive is gone. And then you can just pop this onto your piece that we want to cover. So there's that. So you can see exactly where it's going to go. And now I'm going to trim it. Very easy to do. There we go. So there's that piece. And then again, you can rip off the edge. You can have it look somewhat distressed. I'm just going to trim off the excess right now. So there's that. But yeah, like I said, you can trim it, you can rough it up, you can use whatever. Right now, I'm going to leave it this way, but a nice rip would be really, really pretty. I will show you some other things you can do down the road. But yeah, give it a little bit of color, ink that baby up. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm going to probably put some labels and things on here too. It's not just gonna stay like this. And we will probably rip up the edge, but I'm gonna just show you what the color looks like for now. So that's what we have. And I mean, this is easy, this is packaging. So then we're going to turn this over and use the same kind of idea. There we go. You could do something like that, or if you want something that's a little bit tighter with the image, you could do this. So we could do this. This actually works great because it says it's a grass collector and we're looking at flowers. so it kind of goes together. So same idea, so I'm going to ink it first before we put it on. Give it that aged 5. Okay, and now we are going to, wherever we know we're going to cover up, this is how I like to do it, I will put it on this piece with our purple adhesive. And now we're going to find the area we want to cover. There we go. And like I said, I've got different ways that we can edge this up and make it look more vintage or more used or ratty, if that's the proper terminology you want to go with. So just add a little bit more color. So there's that. And we're going to add some color to the sides of this. All right, so we have that. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is a Tim Holtz, and it looks like a dial. You can go like that. And rough it up and edge it up a little bit. I used to have one, it was a HEIDI SWAPP. It was pink, it looked like Pac-Man. So if you have that one works too. Or you could use sandpaper, but sandpaper doesn't always work as good. Unless you have like a really fine grit sandpaper. That's what I find anyway. So there's that. And then we'll go here. And again, like I said, you can rip this or you can scuff it. Whatever works for you. So there is one way to make some ephemera using stuff you have here. So everybody is, if you buy stuff at the store, you have packaging. So other things we can use is just some of our tags and things we have, adding pieces to them. So, you know, like this girl's too big for this tag, but if you had a larger tag, which I have tons, let's see, let's make something now. Gonna pull out some pieces. Okay. This is a really big girl on here. I am going to add some color to this, and this one will probably wind up getting stitched as well. I am going to take this one off of here. We're gonna do a little bit of color around here just to give it some depth and dimension. Nothing fantastic, just to add some color. And if you want to, with this young lady, you can add some mixed media to it. I'm not going to for now, but you could if you wanted to, if that's the route you wanted to take. I'm going to add this little circular up top and put this up here, and then you could put something like that, and then we could put some advertising down here maybe. add some of this here. Just ink this up a little bit. And the main reason I ink up too is so it kind of separates design from other design. If that makes sense. So it all just kind of doesn't bleed into one another. Okay, you could use a Tim Holtz girl. This is a blue fern girl. Just gonna add some color to her. I'd use my art glitter glue, but it's not sitting right here. This works just as good, really. So I'm gonna add her there. And look how fast and easy that was. I didn't edit anything on this. This was as fast as it was to make. So there's that little girl. You could add some sari silk to that, or you can add some more bits and pieces on this side. Very easy to create. You can add some fabric bits. So some of these pieces are just so easy and so fast to make. You don't need much. I have a whole bunch of these. Same idea. This tag, which is already very neat and very cool. Already stamped. Added just a little bit of our color to it. Let's see, what else do we have in our bits and pieces of cool funness? I don't need much. Need something just a shade bit smaller. That's a little too big still. Kind of know what I'm looking for, just gotta find it. Maybe. I have so many fun stuff, so many different pieces just kind of kicking around. And for me, I usually let things just kind of go. I don't have to do the exact same thing all the time. I'm not picky about where I place things. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, so we are going to put a little bit of glue, but as you can see, I'm going to put this a little off the side. That, and then we're going to add to this. I'm going to give it a little bit of ink again. Don't need much, just a little bit. And then we're going to adhere that on. That, and then on this side, I'm going to add some fabric. So I will be stitching on some fabric on that side, and we can even put something on this side as well. I'm thinking some numbers or something. There will be something else going on there. So there's that piece done. Voila. This piece, I just saw this as I was going through. This is an old playing card. We have our Rolodex card. Same thing, we're going to give it just a little bit of color for that differentiating of colors and whatnot. We are going to give a little bit of color to our our glue, so we know where it's going. So we're going to color that. I'm going to pop this on the back side of our playing card, on the back side of our Rolodex card. There we go. And then I'm going to ink up the front side. Okay. And we have this. It says Lord Rochester Styling. Old piece, don't know what it's for. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to put it on this side. we've got that. The ink isn't showing through. We have that. And then I'm going to put something else on this side again. So maybe fabric or something like that. And we're going to have some things attached onto here. So that's another start of a piece. So look at that. We've already made, and very fast we've done this. We've already got this, which will be a pocket, or we can even add some paper here and it could be a little mini notebook. We've got that. We've got this. We've got this tag. We've got this tag. And then once we stitch this, we will add some fabric and whatnot to it. And we will color it once it's all stitched with our ink here. We've got that. So we've got 5 pieces that fast. So making ephemera is quite easy, and these will all go into this book. So friends, I'm going to leave this part 1 right now, and I'm going to finish sewing up some of these pieces and finishing them off so we can go into part 2 with some of these already done, and the book will be assembled so we can start going on and just doing our creating and our fun stuff, which is actually filling in the inside of the book. So that will be part 2. So make sure if you haven't already subscribed and hit that bell notification and all, you do so now, so you will be notified when part 2 comes available. And then of course part 3, like usual, will be our flip through. So anyways, thanks for watching everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe because I have lots more coming up. For those of you who are scrapbookers, lots of scrapbooking stuff coming up in the near future for you as well, and lots more content now that I've got a lot more time to create. So anyways, thanks for watching everybody. Much love to everybody. I appreciate everybody's support, and make sure you hit that like button. I am going to also have some lives coming up soon and some more sales for those of you that enjoyed my last sale, and thank you for supporting that sale. So again, have an awesome rest of your week. Hugs and love to everybody, and take care.